Okay, so here we go into game 3 of the 4-game Plymouth competition, and here's some Almugavars, the ones who failed to make it over all that way to attack those little bowmen in the previous game. But this game is the Sunday morning game, and the army, the Taifa Andalusians, this time are attacking the early Crusaders, which is a interesting list. Can be put together in a number of different ways. This one was, I think, put together in a much more straightforward one. For some reason, I've not been able to lay my hands on the list. It must be somewhere. I must have written it down or something, but I don't seem to have it. But it's about 28, 29 units. It was a pretty chunky list, and you'll see it set up here on the table. And what you've got here really is a lot of knights. I think they're all being double based. Some of them dismounted as the armoured heavy infantry, a lot of spearmen. You've got a small group of pilgrims over there, camp at the back, and not too much else at the moment. So my army's completely spread across the table, expecting something slightly different. This offset deployment is a bit tricky, but you know, a lot of the poking forces there. I've actually ended up with a lot of spearmen over on this side of the table, which I really am going to want to get in front of those knights, even though it didn't work particularly well. The Almugavars look a little bit out of it. They were presumably looking for something over here, which isn't there, or doesn't appear to be at the moment. And I've got a kind of refusing tiny little force of the javelinmen and the light horse there on that command. But it's really about my colourful knights in the middle, and they're slightly less colourful at this distance, knights over there. So let's have a look what happens. This is the big command. It kind of starts wheeling forwards. The javelinmen and the cavalry race off. You know, this is a big empty open gap, so just even being able to threaten those will draw a few of them off quite easily. Those knights are sort of making a beeline for these guys, and then I've got all this extra force here, and this lot are just sort of keeping pace, but it looks like everybody's drifting slightly one side or t'other. So what are the Crusaders going to do about this? Well, not so much at the moment. I've pinned them back with a light horse unit that's gone out to hold them in place. Some good early pips there, I imagine. Good command and control as the Andalusian general sends people forwards. So all of these almost impossible to hit. You know, if they're armored, dismounted knight, spearman type things, they're really, really tough. But yeah, very, very tough for my knights. That's like my army, but better really on the spear front. And it looks like the knights have managed to sort themselves out a little bit, shaken out. They've kind of extended out into more of a complete line over here. And as you can see, there's knights, there's my spearmen, my different types of spearmen, my own knights, all making a bit of a beeline for it and thinking, well, as long as we can kind of clatter this end of the line, we should really have the weight of numbers, but we just need to avoid fighting these guys for kind of as long as possible, really. So over there you can see the that small detachment of a cavalryman and a light cavalryman have turned, and they're just ready to threaten the flank if this does choose to come forward. That should protect the Almugavars. They're amongst this line, they're sort of the most vulnerable troops. They're still pretty good, but they're the most vulnerable troops in this line, being medium infantry, medium spearmen if the knights came across. But if these guys come forwards, these will rush back and hopefully get the baggage or go into their flanks or cause all sorts of problems, really. So here the battle is really sort of starting to shake up and shake out. So what it looks like I've done is I've sort of pushed the spearmen across to try and absorb the knight challenge or the knight charge with spearmen, left the bowmen behind. It's just going to get too messy too quickly. And these potent spearmen here, the armoured, the better quality spearmen, I'm just sort of throwing something a bit nonsensy at them and trying to get the knights either side. If the knights can get into the crossbowmen here and what looks like some pilgrims, that should be pretty good. So I don't want to fight these guys. I want to fight these guys, and I want to sort of push in the end of the flank. But again, it looks like as well as this unit sort of shaking itself out and widening out, this second row of spearmen have just turned and are marching here to kind of close the door on the flank, which will rather sort of stymie these guys. My javelin cavalry is not going to do much against a wall of proper spearmen, but it's all kind of shaping up, and they're almost in charge range, and these guys are taunting them, getting ready, trying to persuade these guys to make an impetuous charge before they really want to. As you can see, I've mixed up the spearmen, so the ones with rear support are in there and in here. This is actually a light infantry bowman. That's the rear support marker there. So there's a line of spears and some overlaps. A little bit of an overlap there, but my overlap here, and it's really trying to absorb that when that comes and make it bounce off. So there they go, they're in. The knights are really going in for this. I think he appears to be wearing a weird sort of gimp mask there. Really, that's a bit strange. Possibly it's a member of a very early edition of Slipknot. Could well be. But yep, there they go. They have come in with an overlap. In fact, a couple of units spare over there, which must be my knights here. There's a knight in the other spearman, but this is where it's all going to be decided. There's a lot of big dice rolling here. Will they bounce off? Will they go straight through? And on the other side, you know, my knights are lined up ready to kind of take on those two knights as well. We might have to clip that spearman. We're nearly past them into the bowman, but not quite. Probably going to have to take on one of those. But if I can get a couple of these guys in there, that should be pretty pokey as well. And then these will just have to sit and try and not fight for as long as possible, because they're not really as good as these guys. So there's some stuff going on. So this looks like it's been pretty impressive for the knights. That's a lot of hit markers, even on people with rear support who don't get furious charge. They do get furious charge, so you've got a double hit there, a double hit there, which effectively is like 3 or 4. That's a big win for them, and doesn't look like too much damage on these guys at all. So that spear line that's supposed to hold up is not really doing what it's supposed to. So what have I done here? I've just thrown in the rest of the knights. This is my turn. So the rest of knights have kind of gone in against those two. We've had to clip the ends of the spear line, and I'm just pushing my knights and my generals straight through into the squishy crossbowmen as well, because these spears are engaged. These guys aren't going to be able to do too much to join this, so we should try and blast through there and shore up this kind of bowing line here as these guys are getting a bit of a kicking. And my second string of bowmen and crossbowmen is just hoping that these guys hold on a little bit more as these knights just charge into combat. So let's have a look what's happening here. So my two knights going in against crossbowmen, they're still fighting, which is a little bit weird. You would expect them to have sort of gone through really by now. This knight against these quite jolly spearmen with nice little patterns on the shields as well. He's still engaged, but this guy looks like he's actually taken a couple of hits. That's 2 shields there. That's 2 hits. So the crossbowman must have been firing furiously to stop these knights in their tracks and stop them. And there's some religious celebration going on over there in that one as well. So oh dear, this is a bit of a hole, isn't it? That's 1, 2, 3, and if that was my general, let's have a quick look back. A couple of frames again. Yeah, so this guy's obviously gone as well. The general's on his own. All of these people have just been blown away, and suddenly these crossbowmen and mediocre bowmen are looking rather worried, really, about what looks like some rather unbeaten knights. Now, at least the Almogavars have been doing stuff. They've got around the end of the line. They're into the end of these knights who got spearmen in the front. They've got Almogavars in the flank. That should do for them. I've got another Almogavar over there who's working with the cavalry to threaten this lone knight, but he's still quite dangerous. So I've got to really take this guy down quickly and then try and roll up the line before these guys just come charging straight through. But oh, let's see what's happening here. Yep. The general has finally beaten a crossbowman at the second attempt. This guy's still losing. This guy's been battered as well, my other knights. So this knightly force is really down to this general. The other two are pretty flaky. The guy the other side of my general's taken 2 hits as well, and suddenly my spearmen are looking at potentially this line of enemy spearmen beating both those knights, killing them, stepping forward and taking them out as well. So the theory of can spearmen stand up to knights is working here very well, and is not working there at all in my favour. So it's a bish bash crash, proper Norman knight sort of style thing. So yeah, here they go. That guy's still hanging on. He's still fighting away. Looks like the knight over there has chased my skirmishers away, and these guys have just come slamming straight forwards into well, you know, I guess their crossbowmen did well against mine, so maybe mine will survive. My general's still engaged. That's going to give me problems in terms of command and control. He's too busy fighting to issue any more new orders. Yeah, the knight has just chased my guys off back over towards the rule book there on this interesting looking piece of terrain. But there's some Almogavars there. If they can come back, we've got a chance of ganging up on that knight. It is only 1, but we'll see how it goes. This guy is still fighting. How is that possible? That's only a single marker. He's being hit in the flank. He's in the front. He's got a terrible factor. He is just Johnny heroic at the moment, isn't he? And so some more of my spearmen here are looking to face off some of these second string. Can I come back and do these? And yeah, there's a bit of celebration going on as they're into the very squishy part of my army. So So over here, looks like these sort of second string spearmen have come in, blocked my general from doing anything kind of exploitative. And this crossbowman is still hanging on. Looks like he's got his general behind him, encouraging him, but he's done, my knight's flailing away, but still has managed to do no damage and is still sat there taking the hits as he gets dog's abuse from the religious monks next door on their pilgrimage. So, yep, what's happening here? So, boom, of course, that's a crossbowman gone there. My terrible, poor quality bowman. Look, I think that's 2 hits. That's green and yellow, isn't it? So there's suddenly a big gap, and it may be that this light horse who's evaded looks like he's the only thing defending the baggage from some ravaging knights now at the moment, which is less than ideal. Not really what he expected to start doing the day on. And over here, yeah, that's that knight gone. He's still fighting. My general's forced to come back and just play with some light horse. There's not a lot really to get involved in here or do anything. But the only saving grace is that these spearmen are still not in play. But if they do come forwards, my javelinman, for what that's worth, is got a possibility of doing it. Looks like my knights have got a little bit of a breakthrough there, actually. That general one, that elite one, has gone through and is now threatening the edge of those spears. So that's mixed blessing, but that's really gone through quite a pace of knots. And he's there, yes. So suddenly, and look, this guy still there, still fighting away, still the same marker. I'm forming a bit more of a line against these spearmen, but with the knight coming through, that's going to do some damage. But if I think about it, there's not an enormous number of Norman casualties so far, and there's quite a big hole in the middle of my army. So this guy, tough crossbowman, still there, still looks like I've gone through some of the first rank of spears, but there's even more coming through to it. That camp looks a long way away, but these guys are like, he's saying, hey, look at this knight can't do anything at all. Yep, I think the power of prayer is obviously doing some great good here. And over there, yep, still fighting away as these Normans get ready to make a charge on the camp. Spearmen against Almogavars over there. Why is this guy still in play? I've even moved up an extra overlap to try and really take him out. I think I'm getting a bit overly focused on killing this one dude here at the moment. And yeah, you get too focused on it, and suddenly the Normans who break through the middle turn around and slam into the back of my spearmen. They've given up on the baggage. It's not really worth having. They might as well come around and run over the rest of my army from behind, because they all seem to be sort of becalmed and engaged, and really shouldn't have been there. But no, that's a traumatic position for a Berber spearman to be, for sure. And even my really good knights are just not doing the business. They're being bounced off by the enemy spear as well in quite a rate of numbers. Another double hit thing there. And yes, this appears to be 2 of my knights on the other side. They've bounced off the spearmen all game. They've been unable to get through them. That shot that they took earlier doors has done them damage. And then these spearmen have stood up steadfastly. That might be a marker behind them, I'm not sure. But they've stood up steadfastly and taken out my knights. So I'm pretty sure there's only about 1 knight left on table now, which is not a good position for an army that relies on its knights for its punching power. And potentially it looks like we did finally kill that dude. Finally, yeah. The Almogavars have killed him and rushed forwards. These knights have come forwards. They've clattered another one. There's a fight ongoing here. The knight has taken on my spearman. He's just clattered the spearman by the looks of it, even with the light horse in the flank. That's another 3 hits. So really the bottom line is these Normans are fighting like absolute demons here. The dice gods are certainly with the man with the most monks, and here looks like another potential problem for yet more big chunks of my army as these guys are coming back. It's pretty catastrophic, this is. And with that was a pretty brutal, pretty slam through, knights bursting through the middle, running over my spearmen. My tactic was, I guess, to hold them with the spearmen, and when that tactic doesn't work, it's a bit difficult to come up with a plan B. So these guys here were some of the first people off the table, but a crushing defeat against a Norman army that probably it needed to come out of the corner that it was sat in, but I think I probably attacked it too aggressively. There was a lot of flank there. I possibly could have done more to work that flank and really try and reorientate my army to move down the table, but I think seeing it all bunched up there, I probably got overexcited by the opportunity of crushing it before it managed to get out and deploy properly, and it was sort of designed to be able to deploy out once it had tempted somebody into combat, and those really tough spearmen, the slightly better quality ones that it got, did for me in the end. So that's the report of the third game.